All right, you're watching Encounter Roleplay, and this is Wheels of War, a tale of epic battles, political backstabbing, and it's all set in Dungeons & Dragons' original game world, the world of Greyhawk. What's super exciting is we've got all of our little boxes filled. Everybody is here with us again this week. Super exciting. So I can't wait to find out what in the world is going to happen. As was definitely proven last time, there's no way to guess. So I'm not even going to try. Let's go around the circle. Let everyone introduce themselves, remind you of their awesomeness and who they play. And then we'll talk about sponsors and get started. Let's start with our dear Tia.
Hi. Hello. Good morning. I'm absolutely kind of talking, and I am totally awake, and I'm super excited to be back and have internet, not watching off my phone. I did see some of last week's stuff. I saw that you put me up against a Balor alone, which makes sense for Ilivara. She's stupid enough to do that. I am playing a Drow arcane trickster who has a little bit of sass and a whole lot of spite for the world around her for her own personal reasons, which hopefully will be revealed at some point. And I am super excited to play. So yeah, I love Greyhawk, and I love finding out more about it because I grew up in the world of Forgotten Realms, and I think that the homage of Greyhawk needs to be seen more and more frequently. I came across some people the other day that didn't even know what Greyhawk was, and that broke my little heart. They were like, Forgotten Realms was the first D&D world. I was like, no, but you know what? I'm jealous because you get to experience Greyhawk for the first time, so that's cool.
That's true. That's a good way of looking at it. Very good way of looking at it. And also, this very week, Mike Merles did a segment on Greyhawk, describing why it is his favorite of the Dungeons & Dragons game world. So that's worth something. Let's continue around in a, what is that, counterclockwise fashion. Josh, since your mouth is full, you are next.
Absolutely, always. Well, hello. My name is Encounter Joshua, and I am here today to fucking ruin Shane's plans. That's the only reason I turned up. I will be playing Sable Cross, who is a cross between a paladin and a warlock. He's an Aasimar, and as we said, we bagged the golden goose last episode. So what could go wrong?
Nothing. I am certain that nothing will go wrong. What about you, Kevin? Oh, Kevin, is he frozen?
Oh, he might be. Is he muted?
No, I think he's just muted.
Unmute yourself.
I'm getting.
All right. There we go. You're not. We
There
you go. All right. So, hi, I'm Kevin. I'm playing Shiroiga, the Tabaxi monk of the party. He's right now looking to get some vengeance for his Tabaxi kind and his elven brothers and sisters. So, yeah, we're just going to find Igwil and fuck her up now that we have Potch in our hands. So, let's see what...
Is that the way things are going to go today? I should have made some notes about that.
That's what he hopes for.
Yeah. Eugenio.
Hey everybody, I'm Eugenio. I am playing Tirimo Cantila, the Grey Elf Divination Wizard. And he knows exactly what's going to happen because he's a diviner and can see the future, and I look forward to him letting me in on the secret.
He's divined it. It's done been divined. We knew it. Alex.
Oh, boy.
Hello, I am Alex, and I am playing Lady Vibrance, who is our lovely tiefling cleric, who is just a demon girl trying to get by in a mostly human world. So that's been an interesting journey for her so far.
And you have recently developed a little bit of a handicap. You would remind us what that is.
Yeah. Due to a wild magic surge. Yeah, yours is going to be fun. Due to a wild magic surge, Lady Vibrance now has no idea where north is and gets terrible bouts of vertigo. So
it's true.
That rules.
Yes. And what about Shiroi as well?
Every morning he has to wake up with a daisy sprouting out of his mouth.
You know, it could be worse.
I wonder who gave those to you. What awful person would give you a wild magic surge?
Yeah, thanks.
I was thrilled with mine. I don't know about the rest of you.
That's true. That's true. You gave us those wild magic surges, and now we're going to need somebody else to give us some wild magic surges. Before we begin, let me remind everyone that Fantasy Grounds is our virtual tabletop of choice, and you can try Fantasy Grounds for free. It's for free at fantasygrounds.com. Also, we love our Wayland games, so you can go to waylandgames.co.uk and get yourself all the range of D&D, Warhammer, and 40K minis, because they love Encounter Roleplay, for 20% off. And we have a new sponsor, Dice Envy. It's a dice subscription service where you get cool new dice every month. And that starts at just $5. You have access to limited run dice delivered to your door, diceenvy.com. All right, here's how you support us. Retweeting the tweet. It's already in the chat, or soon will be. And let me remind you how to play today's game. You can donate to affect the game and to directly mess with the Dungeon Master's head. You can give nat 1s, nat 20s, and the ever-entertaining Wild Magic Surges. And this month's special, which I still don't understand and we have not really dealt with, is the Table of Pets. Interesting.
Anyone have 100, and there are 100 different pets, and they are either super cool or they're super sucky. We've had cool things like rideable pig mount and other things that are less cool, like I think like octopi.
A rideable pig mount. That is illegal in most states, even in the South.
It had Wolverine claws. It was insane. It was so badass.
Squeal like a pig.
Why would you give a pig Wolverine claws?
I am waiting for the ultimate encounter. I used to play World of Warcraft back in the day for the Horde. We have Leroy Jenkins. So if anybody is crazy enough for a 300-pound donation, I would love to get my revenge on that person. I was actually friends with somebody who was in Pals of Life and Pals for Life, which is the Alliance Guild, which was Leroy Jenkins. Yes, I know all this shit. I would love to fuck up Leroy Jenkins. It would mean a lot to me.
I don't even understand what all that means, but as we dive into the show, let's just Leroy Jenkins. All right, you guys are going to have to help me out.
Very specific place and time.
Things were strange previously on Wheels of War. Our entire story so far has been told within the bubble of the Battle of Crockport Bridge, where the fallen Shieldlands butts up against the mighty and noble nation of Furiandi. Our 5 allies stand on Furiandian soil, and that's a fun word to say, facing on the other side of the river demon hordes, orcs, goblins, and all things foul and nasty. We have heard a little bit about each character's backstory. And in the last episode, we began with our allies having drawn down the leader of Use's forces, none other than his high priest, Potch. Sable had almost single-handedly killed the undead dragon upon which he rode, and at the beginning of the episode, our allies defeated Potch, much to the Dungeon Master's surprise and dismay. They did not kill him with all of the plot hooks left unspoken. They were kind enough to the Dungeon Master that they took him captive. They took him via teleportation, provided by Tirimo, back to the king of Furiandi, Belvor III, and left him in the dungeon. They teleported quickly back to the battle. Why? I'm not sure. If I could leave a battle like that behind, I would run in the other direction. But supposedly they have a plan, carefully reasoned, well thought out, well structured, a completely rational idea of how to win this battle. But before we jump back to the battlefield, there has been a character in this drama who has been largely silent. Her name is Ilivara. Do we just call her Illy? or just call her Vara, or do we go for the whole name?
Well, it depends on how close we are, darling. If we're good friends, then you may call me Illy. If we are not friends, well, then you're not going to get to know my name.
As the dungeon master, I will go with Ilivara for everyone's reference. When we last left her, she had entered the city of Chendal surreptitiously. Oh, what was that I just heard in my headphones?
It's Leroy Jenkins!
Oh my gosh, so we just got a Leroy Jenkins?
What?
Oh my goodness! Something exciting has happened. I don't really understand what it is, but you better clip it. Somebody better clip it. All right, so we have apparently gotten a Leroy Jenkins. What does that
That's just
mean?
Josh, isn't it?
Oh god.
It feels like it's just Josh's character. I feel like we already have this.
I don't want to.
What exactly does it mean that we have a Leroy Jenkins?
We probably will have to page Will to get him in here, but Leroy Jenkins.
Yeah, we should let him know.
He has stats that will be played, and so out there in the magical world of D&D, we have a whole bunch of people that create stats. The most recent one floating around, I believe, would be Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. And they have legendary actions and the things like that. So I'm pretty sure there will be a Leroy Jenkins D&D model that will have been created, and he will have legendary actions, layer actions, and we are going to have to fight him wherever we are.
We're going to have to fight him?
And it's called an encounter for a reason, Jane. So...
no!
This is gonna be amazing.
I'm not exactly sure what's happening, and I'm very afraid.
Yeah, I am too.
Get a hold of Will, and I will keep blathering about the wonderful world of Leroy Jenkins. So, a long time ago, in a place far away, there was something called World of Warcraft Vanilla, and one of the encounters that did you hear Leroy Jenkins? You did indeed hear Leroy Jenkins. And I believe in lower Blackrock Spire, there was an encounter with a bunch of whelplings. Whelplings are basically baby wyverns, and you had to get to a certain part in the back of it with a bunch of your friends, about 10 or more people or so, without touching the eggs of these whelplings. Otherwise, they would explode, triggering other whelplings. And, well, I don't know if Will have the power to do this, but maybe we can find the clip of the original Leroy Jenkins show. It's actually a Jeopardy question is how famous this became. But essentially, they were devising a strategy to get to the back of this room without damaging all these whelplings. And they're talking about, okay, the tank's going to go over here. And they were like number crunching, and everything was super intense. And then one random player comes back into the party who has clearly just been not paying attention, and is just like, okay, let's fucking do this. Leroy! And he runs and he everything is killing everybody. Everybody dies. And at the end of it, he's just like, well, at least I've got chicken. And then just like logs off or something. It was the most ridiculous thing ever. I'm sure that Will is going to be here. Where were you when you first saw your Leroy Jenkins?
Well, one thing that... Continue.
No. It's good. It's good. Let's do this. It's all good.
I think I'm not exactly sure what Leroy Jenkins is going to be for us. I assume Will is going to let us know presently.
I did. Leroy Jenkins.
He's going to shoot us a message. All right. Here's what we're going to do. Well, let me see what that is. All right. There's something. There's some typing going on. All right. Let's actually, first of all, give thanks and honor. Let's scroll back. Who gave us Leroy Jenkins?
Was that Riker?
It was Riker. Is my very good friend and moderator in my channel over on Role Players TV, who is extremely generous. And I'm afraid. I'm very afraid. Amazing.
Well, let's give Riker all love and honor. And while we get this Leroy Jenkins set up, because it is a very generous and mind-warping gift, we don't want to rush it. So we're going to actually have a moment with Ilivara. And Leroy Jenkins will be ready to roll, I'm guessing, by the time we finally hit the Battle of Crockport Bridge. Once again, I see Encounter Roleplay is typing away in Discord, telling me, I'm sure outlining exactly how my world will be rocked. So, let's continue. Ilivara, last time we saw you, you had surreptitiously entered the capital city of the mighty and noble nation of Furiondi. You entered with under disguise with a tiefling who went by the name of Vishara. Both of you referred to Master, although you did not reveal who that Master was. But clearly, you were on a mission. You were left in the streets of Chendal in a dark alley and were given a scroll. For some reason, you're being kept in the dark as to the nature of your mission, but you have been told to take this scroll to none other than the king. Exactly how you're going to gain the audience of the king and hand him a scroll, that part of the plan was not outlined for you. But you, being bold, full of bravado, turned into the streets of Chendal and began walking towards the very visible palace on top of the hill, and let your disguise drop, revealing yourself to be a unusually dark beauty in the city of Chendal. And you walked towards the castle. Because we have missed several episodes, I'm going to fast forward your journey through the town, your journey through the castle, and say that you made it to the king's throne room. I will also say, however, you are under heavy guard. It is not often, perhaps not ever, that a drow wanders in to the castle of King Belvor and demands an audience. It almost sounds like the setup for a joke. This drow walks into the king's throne room and she says, there we go. I am trying to ignore everything going on in Discord so that I can focus on the setup for this situation. So Ilivara, you are ushered through one final long hallway. The banners of Furiondi flowing by, the half moon over blue above 3 crowns over red. You probably find them quite gaudy. At the very least, the decoration scheme around here is super repetitive. And then the massive golden gilded doors swing open and you're let into a chamber about 30 feet long, flanked with guards every 5 feet. A walkway leads to your typical gaudy golden throne. And upon it sits a rather plump man in unmistakably kingly robes. And he looks at you, and you can tell even from this distance, because of your keen vision, that he is well into his cups. There's a moment of stillness as you enter the throne room, and then finally, well, to what do I owe the honor of this emissary from where exactly are you an emissary from?
I am an emissary from land far, far away, and I thank you, your most royal majesty, for granting me an audience. And she over-dramatically bows, letting her hair flip down, and then flips it back up as she stands, placing a hand on her hip and pulling out the scroll. And she hands it over to one of the guards. I'm certain that I'm probably not allowed to get within more than 15 feet of you, and if you'd like to have your royal vizier check that for any traps, spells, etc., please do. But I have a message that is of the utmost importance for you. Please don't make me have come all this way for nothing.
From behind the king opens his mouth as he sort of slides a little bit sideways in his chair. But almost from behind him comes a tall, concave-chested, thin man who says, yes, we would very much like to inspect that parcel. It is a man that the rest of our players, and anyone who has been viewing so far, knows as the unfortunately named Two-Ball. He struts down the stairs and approaches you with no veil over his contempt. He looks at a guard beside you. Take that from
How
me.
close does he get to me?
I would say about 10 feet.
I want to, like, take a step forward and go, boo, and see if he jumps at all.
He slinks forward his very Ichabod crane with his concave chest. And he is about to offer this command to one of the guards who flanks you when you...
Boo.
Aren't you coy? Aren't you so coy?
Indeed.
Take that from her. One of the guards, after a look of near panic, washes over his face, gently and almost respectfully plucks the scroll from your hand and walks it over to Two-Ball as if carrying a dirty diaper. He drops it into Two-Ball's hands, and he waves his fingers above and beyond. He seems to be casting some sort of a spell. Your Highness, it seems to be impenetrable to my efforts at scrying. However, I can tell that there is no magic upon it. I'm quite certain of that.
I'm sure there are a lot of things that are impenetrable to you, my dear.
Like I said, so coy. He turns to the king. Shall I? No. Give the dark elf the scroll. Come forward. But Your Highness, I must... He's beginning to protect.
Catwalk, the dramatic, like Beyonce catwalk up to the throne.
The one where you've got the one arm behind you the whole time.
Yeah, and then it's just like one foot in front of the other, crossing it, like unnecessarily dramatically. And again, with the big bow, hair flip, hold out my hand. Your Majesty, my name is Ilivar of Peril, and it is a pleasure to become better acquainted. Where is the Mrs. Majesty? Is she not around at the moment?
No, I am afraid that I have been without the pleasure of the Mrs. Majesty's company since her passing last winter.
What a shame.
But I have so many around me to keep me company. And the pleasures of drink, may I say. And he stands up, steadies himself just a little bit on the chair. Almost instantly, a thin, muscular young man is at his arm. A man that all of our viewers and our cast know as Coronast. He ushers him down the stairs towards you, looking at you very warily, as if he might need to superimpose himself between you and the king at any moment. You can tell that he would be willing to do so.
It's so nice to have such loyal people around you. Fear not. I'm not here for you. Not in that manner, anyways. I only wish to help. Please, read the scroll.
Coronost says, Your Highness, please allow me. No! Get your hand back, youth. May I have the scroll, my dark dear?
I take it out of his, who I'm going to refer to for the moment, vizier, and pass it to the king.
Two-ball.
Two-ball. Yeah, tool ball is more like it.
So the king takes it. Now, I can tell by the look of you that you are capable of dishing out any number of dangerous surprises. Am I right in that assessment?
Absolutely. In fact, if you ever have an open position on your King's Guard, I am a sellsword. I sell my sword.
Interesting. Coronas, do we need a captain of the guard? Coronas does not take his eyes off you, but replies to the king, we need whatever it is your majesty wants. Nothing more, nothing less.
You would get along with the matron mothers so well. They would adore you.
I'll take your scroll. He takes it, and he looks at the seal in red wax upon it. Perrinland. You bring me a scroll from Perrinland. He breaks the scroll, and there is a pop. It's not just the pop of the wax coming free from the vellum. It is a pop that sounds atmospherically, and suddenly all the air seems to have vacated the air. You seem to be in a billowing cloud of darkness rolling out from this scroll. You cough a couple of times involuntarily and look around. The throne room is gone. The guards are gone. You now exist in a black space. You, the king, and Coronast, who was right beside the king. Coronast immediately drops the king's arm and draws his short sword, spinning around into every direction, pointing it at the black void as if waiting for something to come out. Does Ilivara do anything upon her arrival in this strange space?
I very much doubt that I would be led to my death, and I don't think this is a mission to kill the king. So I will remain looking nonchalant, but I'm going to be using my elven ears to listen into the darkness. Don't worry, this is all part of the theater, she says, trying to stall for time while she figures out what's going on.
The king puts a hand out on Coronast's shoulder to steady himself. Well, this is quite unexpected. I seem to be teleported somewhere without my ale. Guards! Looking about, he finds no one rushing forward to bring his ale. Damn curses. Well, you have me where you want me, Dark Elf. What is this plan of yours?
It is one that is meant to beguile and entice, I assure you. What the fuck is going on? What the fuck is going on? What the fuck is going on? Is what's going through her head.
And in almost a mimicry of your Beyoncé walk, in which you could hear the rhythmic tapping of your heels down the throne room floor, you hear lighter shoes clacking, slinking up behind you. It is an almost unmistakable gait, the gait of your master. And you fancy that maybe you can even smell her before you turn to see her.
I drop down to one knee, put my hands on both my knees. Master.
You see 2 feet walk up right next to you. You feel a soft and gentle hand caress up and down your spine. Well done, Ilivara. Thank you so much for this private audience with the king. And who might you be? Coronast levels a blade at her. She waves a hand, and Coronast begins to shake, neither lowering the blade nor moving in any other way, just trembling, and from his throat comes, now that we can speak alone, I have returned. I have been called the Witch Queen of Perrinland. It's so sad when one has no choice as to the names assigned to them. A cruel, cruel name. You may call me Igwil, and I'm sure you know to whom you speak. The king goes, well, He also seems to be frozen, gagging. The queen says, I have a short message for you, king. Dark times come. I send you this. And you again feel her hand, this time from the top of your head, sliding down your silky hair and then down onto your shoulder and up on the upper part of your arm. She is a capable ally, and she is mine. I give her to you, because in these dark times, perhaps we will face a common enemy. You and I, perhaps otherwise enemies, can find common ground now. Do you accept my gift, king? I will take that as a yes. You feel a fingertip slide down your face and cup gently under your chin, lifting. Aren't you beautiful? You look up into her face. It's difficult to tell what she is. She looks dark-skinned, twinges of red, and the next heartbeat her skin pales, but you can see her long black hair and her accentuating dress. Serve well these two masters, Elivara. She leans down to you, all the way down to your face. But make no mistake, you are mine. Do not fear. I would never let you go. She places a kiss right on your cheekbone. You seem troubled, little one.
Both of them, I say, looking over to the two pathetic fools that stand before me. Please tell me I am only to serve in a soldierly fashion, not in a wife.
Oh, goodness, no, I would never require that of you. No, a creature like you feeds where she wants. I would never feed you dog food.
Well, I suppose it'll be something exciting, Master. I shall do as you bid. They shall live, and we will conquer our common enemy.
We will. I will tell you more soon. And again, a little kiss right on your cheekbone. And then the air comes back, and you are surrounded by probably 24 soldiers looking around, and then suddenly they wheel their pole arms towards you. And it is Coronast who says, "Wait!" The king.
Somebody should get the king some ale.
Well,
I fear he needs it quite badly.
I will not disguise the fact that I'm quite angry. What knew you of this? Speak. Livara? Is that correct?
I knew absolutely everything. I know absolutely everything at all times. Why would I not? Besides, don't you like a little bit of theater? I find it rather drab here. Oh dear, put that down, she says, touching the end of one of the pole arms and just kind of like lowering it gently.
Coronast is offering sort of conciliatory gestures, trying to calm everyone. So you think you can wander in and hijack the king of Furiondi for your theatrical maid? Is that so? Please.
I bow flip my hair back up again in my dramatic fashion. Actually, I think that I can come and bring His Highness to the safest place for his security, for our common enemy that is coming up. After all, do you trust everyone in this room? I say, looking around at all the guards, trying to quickly formulate a plan.
Let's do a persuasion check.
All right. Yes! Something that I am... Okay, so this is going to be a total of +7 on this. That is a 14.
Nice, okay. Not the best.
Not the best,
King's face does not really soften that much. But Coronast does say, begging your highness pardon, perhaps that was a conversation best suited for absolute privacy. Is that so? Well, I sure wish to have heard it, says Tubal as he's trying to force his way through the ring of guards. Please, begging your highness pardon, but as your counselor, surely I should have been included in any sort of consultations with foreign powers. Quiet. You go away. You get me some more ale. And then he looks at you, Ilivara, and you make yourself at home. I'm sure that before long I will understand the reason for your presence. Until then, consider yourself my guest.
Why, thank you. And I will begin walking off like I fucking own the place. I will wait until I am just out of range of the king and his royal vizier, and I'll say, please prepare the queen's bedchambers for me. He did say, make yourself at home.
As you walk forward, Beyonce style, the group of pole-armed guards begin to part one at a time like the Red Sea. Outside the room, the throne room, to the two attendants outside the doors, you give your unexpected request. They both look at one another in total confusion, give a short polite bow, and run off. Thus, the dark elf named Ilivar came into the council of the King of Furiondi with an offer from Igwilv herself, an unexpected offer of aid, in ways which we will not quite be able to detail because the story has since moved so far down the road. That alliance between Ilivara and the king found Ilivara on the battlefield on Crockport Bridge with the rest of our heroes thrown together for all sorts of strange reasons. Now, I need to get into Discord. I'm going to turn things over to the player to say something while I read and figure out what Leroy Jenkins is supposed to be.
Shane, I left you a little TLDR DM about our conversation, so that should give you what you need to know.
That is super awesome. That is super awesome. All right, how about the four of you give Ilivara the TLDR of where you are in the battlefield.
What's going on, guys?
While I think about Leroy Jenkins.
I want to tell you that when I see you guys, I look fucking fabulous because I had the royal tailor fix me up something nice.
You are making yourself at home, girl.
Oh.
We all look like shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we're like covered in mud and blood and shit.
Absolute shit. And we did not get as quite as warm a welcome.
An RV to be there. Yeah. And she's like, what do you mean I have to get into a tent?
Yeah, and I can tell you, Shiroi and I did not get as nearly as warm a welcome as you did, so we're probably sleeping in the fucking stables.
Oh,
like,
they were not. They were
that did not go well for us.
Oh, they might give me a cat carrier.
I'd invite you into my bedroom, but there's just not enough room. You know, it's really cramped with me in there.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't want to sleep next to a drow anyway. That's just his taste, not mine.
Mm-hmm. At least you've got a brain.
All right, sometime this episode, we will encounter Leroy Jenkins. Oh my goodness. All right, I think I've got my head around this.
Great.
Very exciting. Very exciting. All right. So the moment that we are going to join is right after our party left King Belvor and Coronast in the dungeons with their new captor, none other than the High Priest of Use himself, Potch, under the influence of one of Lady Vi's spells, inside a room protected against all magic and bound all to hell. They felt some sort of a moral obligation to return to the battlefield. And thus, they rushed back to the teleportation room with Coronast waving behind them, saying to Dirimo, "But you're a diplomat!"
I know!
We like him! We can use him!
Unheeding, they all teleport back. They arrive precisely where they left, in a trench. To their backs, there is the encampment of the army. Multiple tents, the supply line, a makeshift hospital trying to stitch people back together through natural and arcane means. But in front of them, they see that the armies of Furion and the Shieldlands have reassembled. The momentary break of morale seems to have been recovered because of a strange wild magic surge that held back the forces of Use for a few moments, and Potch, the leader of the enemies, was taken unexpectedly. And so now, you see that in the front, Lord Grievering stands. He is right beside his horse. Somehow, he seems to have gotten his hands on a griffin and seems about to mount the griffin. He turns back towards the five of you and says, "Well, I thought perhaps you had run off and left us. None would blame you. This is still a fight against overwhelming odds, but you have earned my respect. If you would like to fight alongside me, I would consider it an honor."
I have another proposal. Hold on. Give me like 2 minutes.
Not yet.
Yeah.
I have another proposal.
He turns to the person tending this griffin, mumbles something to them. They take the reins, and he walks back through the ranks towards you, where I assume all of you are emerging from the trench.
I'm going to keep everyone in the trench. I want everyone in the trench.
In the trench?
Yes. No one leave our defensive position.
So scared. Go ahead.
God.
I looked to who was it? I think it was Chiamo who you summoned the. I looked to you and I say you did the summoning of the banner and the sky to boost morale.
I did, yes.
Can you make noise? And I mean a lot of noise.
I believe that I can, but honestly, it's been a week and I have to look at my spell list again. Hold on.
Whilst the wizard frantically catches up on the homework he was supposed to do last night, he's just like, "Oh shit!
All right. I can make some noise. Yes, my more powerful illusions are silent, but yes, I can create some noise for you.
Noise would be good, or anything that would make our forces seem slightly larger than we actually are. I look to the commander and I say, "How many? You have horns, you have war drums, anything like that. Anyone who can fight, you get them ready to make as much noise as we possibly can. I'm going to try and buy us a little time."
I don't think that we can win this battle with a clamor.
Listen to me. Now, I I don't have the note, but you gave me a name for I can't remember what. She's a serpentine demon, a fiend, who
a Merilith.
A Merilith, yeah, who's been left in charge, and they're disorganized and chaotic at the moment because Patch has been taken, and they got laser wall, firewall, half their forces, splattered.
Yes.
It's been an eventful battle so far.
It clearly has.
What was the name of the secondary commander?
I believe that by that point I was so far off tack that I made something up in the moment. Would you like to name this Maryland? I'm not going to claim to be better at DMing than I am. I just...
Josh hates naming shit.
I believe everything left in. I believe the next commanding officer down the line is one Sliver McBitch Tits.
I should never have allowed you to name this. What did I do? What did I do? Those of you who are watching, do you hear that clang and rattle? That is the sound of the train going off the track. And
Millions are
down
dead.
the hill.
Oh no.
Mercy.
Wild magic search.
Slithermick. I'm going to call her Slithermick. And that's as far as I'm going.
Oh no.
Yes, Slithermick.
We all know what
say,
a Percy is.
The next in command is we interrogated Patch, and he said the next in command was a Slithermick who isn't much of a commander and has to rally her forces. If we can get them to rout now, we might be able to regroup and get some of these injured off the field of battle. But I'm going to have to ask none of you to shoot me in the back when I do some weird shit in a second.
And what would you like us to do?
I want you to listen for me to say the word reinforcements. Won't be my voice that says it, but when you hear reinforcements, I want you to make as much fucking noise as you can. I want every single person on the other side of that valley to hear every one of us tenfold. Okay?
All right.
Okay.
A little out of the blue, but I'll jive with it.
The Reavering takes off his helm and runs his hand through matted, dirty brown hair and says, "Fine. The only reason that I am willing to trust you is I owe you my life. And I did just see you almost single-handedly kill that dragon, so this has been a strange battle. Perhaps it will end strangely as well. Worst case scenario, we fight. So yes, I'll be prepared to make some noise."
Okay.
And get a lot of things done single-handedly.
I get everyone.
I mean, if I
prepared
can stay
to
out of
make this
battle.
noise. Everyone
I
ready
raise
to
my
make-
water skin to that.
I'm just getting ready to roar and shit. So just or like whatever cat noises I can make.
Yeah.
Just bang my sword and my quarterstaff together or something.
I'd like to peek over. I presume we can sort of see where their forces are mustering, because it's kind
You
of.
can see, as you peek up, you can see down through the center of the Furiondian forces. There's essentially there's an opening across which, almost a quarter mile away, you can see whatever this radiant wall was. Behind it, you can see almost as if through a clear shower curtain. You can see the forms of the opposing army. You can see goblins and orcs beyond counting, but among them, the larger shadows of who knows what sorts of spawn from the abyss. And you can see as now water is beginning to rush down this river again, this wall is slowly fading, crackling, lowering. You probably have another 2 minutes tops before this wall is entirely gone. Fortunately, because of Dynamo, there's also not a bridge. That might help a little.
I
Welcome.
tell everyone I will buy you as much time. If it all goes wrong, I say, if everything goes wrong, then find me on the battlefield. And I am going to cast invisibility on myself and start running for the front line.
Wait, as you say that to us,
becomes invisible.
Yeah, as you say that to us, as you tell us to find you on the battlefield, Lady Vi is going to come up to you and just lay a hand on your shoulder and say, "Go with grace," and cast guidance on you.
Oh my god.
So you can roll a d4 and add the number to one ability check of your choice.
Okay.
That sounds like it might be clutch.
I am not actually stealthing. I just need not to be, I can't be physically seen, and I'm going to get as close to it as I can within sort of reason of like the banks of the river or where the river was before I materialize again. Here's the thing, though.
I've been waiting for the thing.
Sorry.
I'm glad the thing has arrived.
Here's the thing. Remember when we got that stupid orb of death that Sun used? Yeah, I saw something.
Yeah.
What did I see?
You saw a number of things.
I did, but one of the most important things I saw, Shane, was I saw Hughes, I saw Patch, and I saw Althea. And Althea wanted to take the offensive, and Patch overruled her, much to her discontent. So using my Mask of Many Faces, I can cast Disguise Self at will. So I don't appear at all. And because I'm a big fellow, I'm going to, you can make yourself a foot shorter. I'm going to make myself look a foot shorter from the ground up. So Althea appears floating a foot off the ground.
Oh my.
And I'm going to use Minor Illusion to use her voice. And I am going to shout in her voice at the forces held back, "You worthless, useless, vile wretches! You have failed, the Lord of Pain, Fiend of the North! You have lost the High Priest Patch to these filthy mongrels and allowed them to summon reinforcements! Please make noise!"
I am also going to use an illusion. I think I have it.
Yeah, I'm going to use Minor Illusion to make all kinds of like, probably dragon sounds. We have our own dragon. Fuck you guys.
Yeah.
Jesus. I'm going to use...
Oh god.
Wow.
Yep.
So what are you using, Kai?
This is amazing.
I'm just going to peek my head out, and if there's anything within, are we 60 feet away from the battle line?
Much further.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. I'm not going to use anything.
You're just yelling.
Fable is out there by
I'm just gonna yell.
I'm just yelling. Maybe like bang.
At this point,
Just yelling.
having delivered this monologue, suddenly on cue, the screeches of massive creatures from behind him, illusory voices of dragons and other beasts. As well, the troops begin to pound their shields and swords together. Shang, chang, chang. They stomp their mailed boots on the ground, and a cry from the men, "Furande! The Shieldmans! Revenge!" And as they call and bay for blood, like, I'm going to take a moment to let, like, inky blackness seep like smoke from her skin as she gets really, really fucking angry about this. And she goes on to say, "And for your failure, there is only one punishment. I warned his profane eminence of your reckless incompetence, and now he himself demands your return to Baraka. You are to answer before him. Throw yourselves down at his feet and await your fate at the hands of the master of the dread. Flee!"
Can I
Oh
use
my
net
God.
perception check, please?
Oh my god.
Yes, you can use your nat 20 for your
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I
check.
totally forgot about
And add your D4!
And add a D4.
So
Just for grins, add a D4.
add a
my God,
D4. So I would let me roll plus a D4, please, Bia. Okay, so that's
Honestly,
one.
There's no way
That's,
this is gonna work, but I forgot we had the crits.
that's a 30. That's a 30 in total with a nat 20, a plus 9 to deception, and the one that takes it to a 30.
30. Oh my goodness.
In Althea's voice.
Now, I hesitate to point it out, but we also have a wild magic surge awaiting
do.
us.
And it's
Oh.
gonna go off now.
Who is it going for?
It's
Who gets
Josh's.
Josh.
Fine.
It's Josh's?
Here's
Okay.
what we're going to do.
Yes, please take
So
control
you
of this
have
train.
delivered, Sable, you have delivered the performance of a lifetime. You know in that moment that perhaps should death take you too soon, you have accomplished all that you could ever accomplish.
Completed your
As
masterpiece.
the wall falls, don't look at the wild magic yet. As the wall slowly falls with a sizzling sound into the rushing waters, the Merilith that is at the foot of the ruins of the bridge, her 6 arms with swords hang flaccid. Her tail does not whip behind her, but lays limply on the ground. She is a terrifying figure, but she has assumed the posture and spirit of a whipped dog. As you look out on the hordes of demons and orcs and goblins, they stand silent and wide-eyed at you. The only thing at this point that could screw things up is a wild magic surge. What is a 92
Oh boy.
18?
Tia?
The nearest forest. I can't even talk right now. It's so perfect. The nearest forest is set ablaze. So
Oh my God.
The forest is now on fire.
Oh, is there a forest
So-
nearby?
So what you see, what these creatures see as the wall falls is the form of Althea with black radiant hate swirling around her. They see the forces of Furiondi raising a racket, and then suddenly behind those forces, a wall of flame erupts, spiraling into the sky. You hear additional cries as their encampment and all of the wounded are suddenly in the midst of a conflagration, the forest burning around them. But those on the other side of the river don't know that. All they see is a wall of fire silhouetting their enemy. They have stopped. They are frozen. What parting word might Sable say to them?
I'm gonna do something really risky here, but there's a chance that it could be fucking awesome. I'm gonna roll. I'd like to roll. I have to roll something because I have an equipment thing that I want to try and use. I have one thing because I can't use a lot of spells because a lot of my spells are concentration, and I have to keep up my thing at the moment. So it's 1d. So I have a deck of cards that I'm going to.
Oh no!
I'm going to slip from my deck.
No!
That
what?
deck of cards. Be reasonable.
Oh my god!
Okay.
Oh no, I didn't think that, but yes, that would be awful too.
It would be awful.
That's not the deck of many things, is it?
No, not that time. No, I assume it's a deck of illusions.
And suddenly he turns into a fish.
Right.
This,
20
you know?
levels of paladin.
It's gonna be fake. Nice with that fucking fake river behind us.
So I have I roll a 1d34 and see an 18, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
I have no idea what you're working on, by the way. I have no idea.
Well.
Amazing. Okay, it did work. So I draw at random, and I don't get to pick what form it takes, but it's paid off. I draw at random a card from behind me, and I drop it on the floor. And as I do so, the following happens. It's a deck of an illusion. An illusion of one or more creatures forms over the thrown card or dropped card and remains until dispelled. An illusory creature appears real, of appropriate size, and behaves as if it were a real creature, except that it can do no harm. While you are within 120 feet of the illusory creature, you can and can see it, you can use your action to move it magically anywhere within 30 feet. The physical interaction of the illusory creature reveals it to be an illusion. But they're not paying too much attention right now. They're all pretty cowed. And what I rolled for is the following. Hold on, where is it? It was a priest and 2 acolytes. And because we're from Furiondi, am I saying that right? Furiondi. I presume they'd either look like paladins from my faith, or they'd look like, it's up to you, Shane, or they'd look like some kind of priest from our side.
I think you can pick what priests you would like.
I make them look like the paladins. In fact, you know what? I make them look essentially like my guys, the paladins, myself. But because I'm a high enough level, I'm going to turn around. Even as I drop it, I'm going to turn and I'm going to Eldritch Blast them as priests materialize. Paladin assassins just appear behind me, and with a whip of my hand, all I've got to do is displace the card, so I make it look like I killed 3 men outright without so much as batting an eyelid, and I turn my fury back towards them and say, "I told you to flee." That's all I'm doing.
Bravo. At that, everyone starts to move backwards. Perhaps on cue, Lord Grievering wheels in the sky on his griffin and is flying back and forth over the Furiondian forces. Unbidden, they're beginning to move forward. And as they do, these demonic forces retreat more and more quickly. After about 50 feet of backing away, they begin to turn and run. The sound of their retreating footfalls across the poisoned earth is thunderous. But you can see them receding further and further. Lord Grievering continues to wheel over the forces of Furiondi. You have succeeded in getting rid of the armies of Ews. That was actually a really good plan. The dice were with you and well performed.
Very nice.
The Battle of Crockport Bridge appears to have ended. Oh my goodness, what do you do now?
I can't believe that worked.
I've spent a week just sitting there like, will it work? I don't know.
Well, I can tell you did your homework. You looked up the appropriate names for Ews and everything.
I had it all laid out even before last episode ended, and now I've got a document that's sat there for a week, and I've just been looking at it like.
Wow.
But God. I mean,
fantastic.
Arch gave us the next in line, who was the commander, and I saw Althea in the flesh, and I was like, do a thing with this.
Good thinking, good creative play. So that being done, all of the forces of Furiondi begin to rush towards the river as they see their enemy in full retreat. They get to the river. The river is deep. It moves pretty quickly. And the bridge is out, so they line up across the banks and begin to cheer as they watch these forces recede. How and when does Sable rejoin his allies?
I'm not looking like Althea. I dropped the guys, but I'm gonna if they're honestly fleeing, I'll go invisible so they don't see me change back. So if any of the guys on the rear, like I take no chances, I go invisible again, and then I just suddenly rejoin. But I'll find whoever Commander, I can't remember his name.
Grievering.
Grievering, yeah. I find Lord Grievering and rematerialize next to him and just roll my shoulders like I'm gonna. Like, I'll spend the time I'm invisible freaking the fuck out about how close I just came to killing myself. But then once I rematerialize, I'm confident and cool.
Grievering lands close to Ilivara and Lady Vibrance and Tirimo and Shiroi, lands on his griffin, quickly dismounts it, and takes off his helmet. He approaches Sable, and then he bows deeply. I have never seen bulls and bravado win a battle before, all on their own. But I will give credit where credit is due. You are more than a mere mercenary, soldier of the Red Hand, and the king will know it. That I promise you.
Don't forget us. We helped as well.
I was going to say...
we caused some noise. That was pretty helpful.
Well, I do seem to remember as he turns to Ilivara and Shiroi. I never thought I would share a battlefield with the likes of you, but you held a demon at bay between the two of you. And you turns to look at Tirimo and especially Lady Vi. You look more like you belong on the opposite side of this river, but at the same time, you and Tirimo helped to save my life. Many fought in this battle today, but the battle was won by the 5 of you. And as I said, the king will know it. And he bows, and this time as he bows, so does the rest of the army. At first, those who are in a close circle around Grievering, they bow. Those around them who could not see what is going on now turn, see Lord Grievering bowing before the 5 of you, and they take a knee. Slowly, over the course of about 30 seconds, in silence, only the clanking of armor, hundreds of troops bow towards the 5 of you. This is the true ending of the Battle of Crockport Bridge.
Well, now that all the hard work
That's
is done,
more like
let's
it.
celebrate.
Can we go back to the castle now?
Yes.
I knew that if I gave a little pause, several people would have some perfect one-liners to cap things off.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes,
I look to...
oh, yes. My Tabaxi just sort of dumbfounded me like, I must say, I didn't really expect that move. Think I would have to get my claws dirty for this. Very well played there.
I look to Tiramo and I say, well, as your friend was so fond of reminding you, we're diplomats. Take us home.
I just give like the peace sign as like we're just walking back into the teleportation circle. We out.
Yes,
with pleasure.
I mean, it does look like a movie. As all of you return towards, well, Tirimo, tell me what it looks like as you all walk back between these ranks of kneeling soldiers.
Well, I do feel like I should just remind the commander that they should really get all the troops out of here because the forest is burning. We aren't the only ones who should be leaving. Just for the record. Anyway.
Darling, they'll take care of that. Don't you worry.
They just fall on their knees. Anyway, So we head back to where I had sort of back towards the camp where I had scratched the makeshift teleportation circle sigils for the castle, and I will use put on the helm again and use the last charge of the day to power the circle, and I'll sort of gesture to the circle and then remember what happened last time and say, actually, just in case, I will go first this time. And step into the circle.
As you walk back towards the flaming forest, you do see that the rear guard of the troops are there pulling carts and horses and survivors out of the burning forest, which of course encircles their encampment. And now a bucket brigade is beginning with empty helmets being used as buckets as these troops now switch from combat mode to rescue mode. All of that chaos going on around you. Though you have been heralded as heroes, now you are forgotten as everything breaks forth into chaos.
Sure.
And you have...
As we're walking through with them pulling survivors out, anyone who looks like they're unconscious, like have just fallen unconscious, as we're walking through, I'm just going to gently touch anybody who looks like they're unconscious and use Spare the Dying on them and bring back as many as I can just on our way.
Yeah.
More than one set of glassy eyes regains focus, looking up at you, your beautiful face and horned head with equal measures of gratitude and absolute confusion. At that time, Tirimo steps through the portal. There's a moment of darkness, of disassociation, but fortunately, no visions come during this journey. And quickly, you step out into the ever heavily guarded teleportation room in the dungeons, essentially, of Belvor's castle in Chendel. In addition to the guards, there is Coronast. As he sees you pop out of the circle, he takes several rushing steps towards you and then stops. Tirimo, welcome back. I'm glad that you have returned.
As am I, Coronast. My friends, follow me. Perhaps we could not have a repeat of last time, and we can have chambers prepared from them upon their arrival.
Absolutely. He snaps his fingers, makes a couple of gestures at nearby guards. The level of militarization in the chamber diminishes immediately, and several guards run off, barking orders. Each one of you, I assume, are going to step through. Anything else you would like to do in the battlefield? I don't want to rush you.
No,
But you would like to rush
I've
us
spread some... Yeah, a little bit rushed. I've spread my benevolence, I've made my face known, and that's really all I wanted to do.
I'll save 25 people with 1 hit point from my last. One hit
You
point.
get a hit point.
Yeah.
You get a hit point. You get a hit point.
Yeah, you see what Lady Vi's up to, and you're like, yeah.
Hit point t-shirt cannon.
You're slowly overriding your way across the makeshift hospital here, giving hit points to the right and to the left. Eventually, all of you step through the teleportation circle. You are received by Coronast. Let's say that all 5 of you are now gathered. There's only a couple of guards and Coronast. He says, I trust that the battle went well. Or did you flee your deaths?
Coronast, please, have some faith in us. We are hardened warriors who know our way around the battlefield. I exploded a bridge, and this gentleman here turned the entire army back single-handedly. We'll tell you all about it soon, but I think we all deserve a bit of rest. Perhaps you could see to that, and we will decide next steps soon.
So let's jump forward just a little bit. After an incredulous look from Coronast, he shakes his head.
And that was totally the goal, because obviously Tidimo's not a hardened warrior.
Yes. You did not. I'm not even going to give you a deception check on that because you
No,
would not pass.
I wasn't even trying. No.
But Demo takes all of you to your various chambers. If there's any conversations that you would like to have, if anyone would like to visit anyone else's chamber for any reason whatsoever, for conversation, for planning, for who knows what, you may do so. Otherwise, we will shift to morning. Anything
Oh,
you'd
I
like to
invite
do
everybody to come to my chamber and get some nice ass clothes
Yep.
made for them real quick. They get some measurements taken. I give everybody a bottle of perfume. Like, here you go. Steal the silverware, they won't mind.
Yep. Small after party in Ilivara's room.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm just
Yeah.
like sitting there with my arms crossed, just like I can't believe I'm at a fucking Drow's party. It's just like this is so out of character. He's just visibly like,
delighted.
disappointed.
Yeah.
This is just like home.
As the after party continues, it's very clear that the servants have been told to cater to your every need. Coronast is absent, but all manner of servants are at your beck and call, and all of them wear the expression of complete disorientation, because never before has a party like this been thrown in the castle of the king. Anything specific you would like to have, conversations you would like to have with one another?
I would.
Not particularly, but anytime I see a servant, like somebody who is obviously terrified of me, I'm going to make a point of being really lovely to them and like touching shoulders and, you know, just really getting up close and personal with anybody who seems like they might be terrified of me.
Aww. Spreading goodwill.
Very nice.
In an endeavor to save the servants, I'd like to take Lady Vi to one side and have a private conversation with her at some point.
Like, you're scaring the shit out of these people, please stop.
Yeah. No. Like, I'm gonna. I will come on over and like put an arm around, like almost like as if she's like drunk, lead her away for a moment, and sort of like just tell the servants to move along. But I do actually want to have a private conversation with her.
All right.
I'll find somewhere where we can talk discreetly, and
I'm showing off all my clothes to them.
Yeah.
You're keeping the others as a captive audience.
Yeah, I
Yes,
pick
spread
up a
it
silver
all
plate with like
over.
food on it. I'm like, have you tried these?
Yeah, and I'll talk to Tirimo like after like your whole spiel with Vi.
Well, let's say that Sable ushers Vi out onto a huge hanging balcony overlooking the central courtyard of the castle and the rest of the city of Chendal splayed out in the distance. At this point, it is well into the night.
I will use my divine sense to make sure there's no creepy crawlies around, any like fiends or anything like that. We're not being eavesdropped on. Once I feel comfortable. Yeah. I know.
I mean, aside
Present
from
company
one,
excluded.
Yes, you do get a sense that there she is.
oh shit!
I would look to her for a moment and I say, I wanted to
All right.
And here we are again.
Hey.
We are back again, and we're for real back. I'm waiting to see it come up on my Twitch. Make sure that
Yeah,
we're actually
same.
moving. That's fantastic. All right, so when we left, I was just noticing that we got a magic item. So fantastic! A magic item will appear in your story. Oh my goodness, time flies. Before the end of this episode, I will make that happen for you. I do want to remind both the audience and the party that the last magic item you received dropped from Potch. It is a strange obsidian mace, topped with a skull. A spiked skull as the top of the mace, but the skull spins. You can tell that it's magic, but you didn't really mess with it much, so you don't know exactly what you're dealing with. But that is the magic item that you have received thus far. Another one coming in. When we were so rudely interrupted, Sable had drawn the Vibrance out onto the balcony overlooking the city of Chendel to begin a conversation. He detected all foul things and found only her, and they were about to talk.
I lean on the balcony for a moment and I say, back in the throne room 2 weeks or so, when we found out about this incoming invasion, you had that orb, that sphere.
Yes.
I let it
about it?
slide. I let it slide at the time because, well, I have some of my own agendas. But it provided me with some pretty helpful information that helped route that army today. On the counter side of that, it also gave me a bunch of questions that I thought were best not asked in front of other members of my order or the king or anyone else. So being as you said you were so keen on not fighting today, and I've made sure that you don't have to, I was wondering if you could be a little bit more liberal with your information as to where exactly you acquired it and what it is.
As for what it is, I only know vaguely. It's from my home. It's from the Horn Society. It's something our leaders used to... Oh god, if only I knew. It's something our leaders used for some purpose, and given our leaders' proclivities, it probably wasn't a positive purpose. As our city fell, my father managed to get it out of the capital and get it to me to bring here as honestly, and I am going to be honest with you, I've honestly got nothing to hide, as leverage. To make my passage here smoother, to make me... to be able to get into the door without having my head taken off. An offering. That's all. I know so very little about it. My family were not royalty, we were not high nobles, we were lesser nobles. My father worked in the capital, but that's as close as we ever got to power. We were never told what this did, only that it was powerful and terrible. And now you know as much about it as I do.
Alright. You find anything else like this in the future, you keep me in the loop.
Absolutely, but there's only one of these as far as I'm aware in our lands. There may be another one here for all I know, and if you find one, then somebody has betrayed you.
I mean, anything...
These are not good objects.
Yeah, my point is, if you find anything else that doesn't exactly jive with the locals, then keep me informed.
Well, we found that mace.
Yeah, I've been thinking
the one that Podge dropped.
You reckon the wizard would have any idea as to what it is?
Yeah. I mean, there's nobody else I'd rather have it than a wizard right now. Anything that pulls off that Potch fellow is bound to be bad news.
Right, yeah, I'm looking forward to that in the morning. Anyway, we should get back to the party before people start to...
Oh, right, yes. Gossip.
And while they're coming back... while they're coming back, I'd like to pull Tirimo aside to that same balcony they were just leaving at, and now just ask for a word with him.
The four of them pass awkwardly in the opening.
Sorry.
What were they on about?
Nope, it's alright. Hands up, it's alright.
It's okay. Get the tail through.
Oh, darlings, try some of these. I say, bringing them a glass of wine. Don't worry, it's not poisoned.
Oh, God. All right. And I just turn over to Tirimo, have you heard of what has gone about of your home, friend? Because it appears both of my home and the home of our kind, the elves, have gone away at the hands of Igvil.
As soon as Shiroi asks that question, Tirimo just totally clams up and tenses up, and it takes him a moment to respond. And when he finally does, he just says, I share in your pain, elf friend.
Well, thank you. Well, and I'll put a hand over your shoulder, and I try to just say, well, since you know my pain, I think you can understand my request. I'd like to speak with Potch alone to get the information whereabouts of the person who destroyed my homes, because now I am left with nowhere to go, and I believe you would like to know that as well, of who destroyed the homes that we leave behind.
What do you mean? As far as I was aware, the northern part of the Vesvi was attacked by Eus and his forces.
It was not by Ooze, by something else. A tall, dark woman with black hair. Her name still rings in my mind from the time I was a cub, but it is Igvil who destroyed my people and my town of Flameflower.
I see. It seems that there are twists and turns that I did not anticipate. I am here at the pleasure of the Queen of the Elves and of King Belvor. So, in my short capacity, I can promise you no private audience with our captive, with our prisoner. But if what you say is true, perhaps unofficially, we may be able to find a brief moment when we pass by his cell.
I would appreciate that. Or, if worse comes to worse, I would at least like to have the honor of slitting his throat in his final moments.
We have much that we can take from him before that moment, elf friend. But fear not, if what you say is true, we shall get to the bottom of it, and justice will be paid.
Beautiful. And I'll just extend a hand, and then just a shake. Do you take it?
Yes. He sort of looks at it for a moment, and then does.
Unlike any hand, perhaps, that you've ever shaken before.
That was just do I take it? Okay.
Well, how about the party? I'm just going to be in the corner. I don't really celebrate with elves of her kind, so you go on and have your fun.
And it is interesting, Tirimo, as you go into the room, still thinking about the fact that you've never shaken a hand quite like this. You do see Lady Vi, and then your eyes fall upon Ilivara, and you have to think what strange company you have fallen into.
I would like to be a drow and
are you saying something?
Can you not hear me?
There you are.
Okay.
I can now. There's just a little skull. I was afraid that we'd broken down again.
No.
I was about to pass the ball to you, Ilivara.
Perfect. Because I'm going to be a dark elf, and I would like to retcon to the previous. At the end of the first duo of conversation, I would like to use my medallion of thoughts and find out what one of them is thinking. And then at the end of that duo's conversation, I'd like to use my medallion of thoughts again and find out what they're thinking, just because they're having conversations.
Okay.
I don't get to know. So
Fair enough.
Cheeky drow.
I do not know what you are trying to infer, my good friend. So I suppose that I would probably go with the thoughts of Lady Vi, and then probably Shiroi for the two people that I'm going to use detect thoughts on. So what do you got for me, bitches?
Is there a saving throw against that, or
There isn't unless she wants to. But don't you get surface thoughts without a save?
Yes, yes. It just depends on how deeply you want to delve. If you just want to pick up the surface thoughts, they won't know they won't know anything happened.
That's why I want to do it as soon as they're coming out of the room, which is why I want to retcon the actions, because I'm pretty sure whatever they were thinking about would be freshly on their mind.
So, Lady Vi, as you step through the archway from the parapet back into this lavishly accoutered room, what is on your mind after that conversation with Sable?
the mace. I know Sable's worried about the orb, but as far as I'm concerned, I've handed that off and I don't have to deal with it anymore. The mace, on the other hand, that I have, I believe, would still be on my person and wrapped up in a bit of cloth so that the head's not looking around. I'm thinking the mace is probably bad news. I may like the mace. I should still get the mace checked by the wizard. Where's the wizard? Oh, there's the wizard. Squeeze past.
Nice.
I'll wait till he comes back inside. Mace to wizard. Mace to wizard. Glass of wine. Bed. Oh my god, bed.
Sure.
That's when I kind of like turn the dial off. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
okay.
Shiroi,
Right.
what is the as you re-enter the party at the end of your conversation with Tirimo, what is on your wine? Maybe it's wine is on my mind.
It's Friday.
Yeah, for reals.
Yeah.
What still lingers? What thought? What image, perhaps, still lingers in your mind?
What comes to mind is just like that moment that I'm envisioning alone with just me and Potch in the room and just thinking about all the ways I can, like all the voices in my head of my family and just my kind of elves and Tabaxi just in the back of my mind, just saying like to like avenge them in some way. But also like after that, just a split second of just like, I can't stand hanging out at a drow festival. I should just be out of here. Like, just being, just like little cursings, like just saying like, oh, I always prefer the higher elf parties and have to go to a dark one, so I might have to leave sooner than expected. And just like, I'll just go back to my corner, cross my arms, and just like casually like just watching everybody go about their business.
I'm going to take a DM liberty here. Because what exactly is surface thoughts? I've given you a pass at it. You get all of those surface thoughts from Shiroi. But I'm going to add another surface thought that was legitimately just on his mind seconds before he walked out the door. The vision that he tried to impart to Tirimo of a long, dark-haired woman. You see that woman for just an instant walking through the flaming monastery. That memory had just come to his mind and is very powerful, so a ghost of it lingers there still. You see her foot step on the horn of the unicorn who is barely alive, and you see its horn snap under the cruel twist of her foot. It's a foot that you saw a couple of weeks ago walking up beside you. And the face that he saw is the same face that leaned forward and planted a gentle kiss on your cheekbone.
I finish whatever glass of wine I am drinking and hold it out to serve another.
Yeah, another.
All of the mirth that she had in her voice gone for but a moment before she remembers to smile again. Oh, she didn't say
And
anything
describe
about
for
these
just... I'm so sorry. Say that again.
She didn't say anything about these ones, just to protect the king. Interesting.
What was that, dear?
I was just admiring about how much service we've done to the king so far. I'm sure he'd want more, but we're not getting paid enough.
Goodwill is
And
payment. Especially
at
from a
that
king.
moment, the two of you hear, "Oh, I can assure you that you will receive payment in full for the services that you have rendered so generously to King Belvor." As you turn, you see the concave-chested Lord Tubal looking at you both.
I turn around as it is my room at the moment, and I say, "I'm sorry, I don't believe that you were announced. Could you just..." Rules are rules.
Oh my god. You're gonna get us all killed.
Yes, that's fine. I was on my way out. I don't like parties of this nature. I find them foul. They attract poor company.
I can't imagine that you've
They
ever
do
been
indeed.
invited to a party in your life. How do you like to party? That is something I would like to hear. Is it downstairs? Over a
He
bar?
looks over his shoulder as he leaves, your repartee coming more quickly than he can process. So he just goes, "Good night, ladies. However it is that your
Bye.
kind sleeps, I wish you pleasant dreams. Is that what your kind likes? I don't know. Farewell. Farewell."
Yeah.
And he leaves the two of you.
I don't like him. Lean
I also
over.
don't like him
Rubs
either.
me the wrong way.
I've taken to calling him Toolball. It seems to upset him every now and then.
Oh.
Nice.
Kind of like awkwardly hold
Outstanding.
my hand up for a high five.
Yep. Absolutely delivers. And pours, I'm going to pour us both another glass of wine.
Oh, absolutely. Cheers.
I'm just looking at this cross-arm, just like drowse in their mysterious ways. Never learn it.
As the party continues, Lady Vi, I only say this because you mentioned it. Do you wish to approach Dirimo tonight?
I think before, as long as it's just us in the room, but I know that there are servants flitting about. So while there's servants flitting about, I probably wouldn't do anything. But on the way out, I would definitely make sure that I, at some point, took Tirimo aside and just very quietly, I'm going to hand off the wrapped up mace and say, "I think you might like to take a look at this and maybe keep it on the down low until you know what it is."
Let's say that the party went on for at least another hour, and then the fatigue of battle and the adrenaline high with which you left the battle, it all hits you at once. Perhaps seasoned with a little bit of wine, the party ends abruptly, everyone departing for their rooms, and that's where Lady Vi pulls Tirimo aside, outside of Ilivar's room, on their way to their own chambers.
Just take a look at this, would you?
Yes, of course. Would you like me to do it tonight, or can it wait till morning?
I think it can probably wait till morning. I think we all need a bath and a good rest.
Certainly. Why don't you come to my chambers in the morning before we break our fast, and we can investigate it together.
Absolutely, but would you take it for now? I
Certainly.
honestly have had my fill of magical items that I don't entirely understand. My last encounter with one didn't go that well.
That sounds like a story I will have to hear sometime. I will take, of course,
Yeah,
take it
no.
from you. Take your ease, Lady Vibrance. It has been quite a day, and
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah, yep. And
Epic.
with that, she's just gonna back down the hole.
Yeah.
An epic day. I'm going to say that everyone
Yeah.
proceeds to their chambers without incident. They find mulled wine still hot beside their bedside tables. Everyone can get into bed anticipating all of the benefits of a long rest. But before that happens,
No.
there is a rapping at Tiremo's door.
Oh.
It's all you, buddy.
Yes. Yeah. I'll go and open the door with a smile on my face as he thinks he knows who it is.
You are unsurprised by the presence of Coronast. He is deeply troubled. He's been fretting. Anytime that you've made eye contact with him since your return, he seems to have taken little peace in the fact that you have come back. Apparently thrown by the situation, I don't know. He says, well, I'm sure that you are quite tired. If you would like to wait to speak until morning, I understand completely.
Coronast, don't be silly. You know I always have time for you. Please, come in.
He walks in, he offers no gesture of affection, walks into the bedroom and begins pacing back and forth at the foot of the bed. First of all, let me tell you that I feel like you were wildly foolish today. Wildly foolish.
I will just sort of... He said first of all, so there must be more, and I a little bit feel like I sort of deserve this anyway, so I'll let him continue.
I take it by your silence that you are in agreement with me.
Coronast, things are rapidly evolving, and we are all going to be asked to do things for the safety of this land and many others that are outside of what we feel are our comfort zones. But for you, I will do my best not to find myself in the center of a battle again anytime soon. Please, what else brings you here? It was... I understand, and I understand your concern, but I do not think it is what has you so upset. What else is it, Coronast?
Well, when you returned, you had a dark look about you. And you said that you had some sort of news for me, so I suppose I'm waiting for the shoe to drop.
I don't suppose that I can talk you into waiting until morning for the shoe.
I am very understanding. You are certainly exhausted. If you wish, I will go back to my room and sit there on my bed all night until I can speak to you in the morning. There's a little bit of smile at this. He's not being completely peevish.
Right. Point taken.
He recognizes that he's being playfully ridiculous.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he's absolutely right that it is in fact the other shoe that's about to drop. Point taken, Coronast. And I wouldn't put it past you to spend the whole night fretting about what I have to say, but I don't think that if I tell you tonight, you will find much more comfort than you would in waiting.
Oh dear.
Please, have a seat. And I'll sort of lead him over to the bed and just sit him there. And sit next to him and say, now remember, it has been some time, and we always knew that this would be a possibility. And I didn't want you to find out when I am forced to tell King Belvor tomorrow. But I think that I know the fate of the prince. And it is not a good one, Coronast. Our worst fears appear to have come to pass.
How, on a battlefield, have you heard of Thrommel's fate?
This is why I hesitated to say anything immediately. It was a strange experience. When I brought our party here with our prisoner earlier today, in the midst of my teleport, I was taken elsewhere. This has never happened to me before. I have been using this helm for some time now to get about the lands, and this experience has never had its like before. I found myself in a chamber with a sarcophagus, a black stone sarcophagus, where I saw the body of the prince. I intend to do some investigation to confirm that what I saw was not an illusion or some form of trickery perpetrated by Eus or his minions. But I cannot give you false hope, Coronast. It felt quite real.
And he, I suppose, it's ridiculous to ask, in a sarcophagus. He was quite dead.
We have seen stranger things, not so ridiculous to ask, but I had only a few moments there before I found myself then here in the castle dungeons as I intended. But from what I could tell, I am no cleric, but he looked quite beyond his mortal coil, if you will.
And you were not able to ascertain where this sarcophagus lay?
No, as I said, I had such little time, and many seconds were wasted that I could have been investigating by the sheer shock of not arriving immediately here in the dungeons.
Well,
I will do my best. Believe me, I have memory of the look of the place and of the sarcophagus, and there are spells that I can use to attempt to ascertain its location and look in upon it again. But again, my Coronast, I do not want you to hold out a false hope, only to have it ripped away yet again.
He stands up quickly from the bed and walks back and forth a couple of times, and then stops to turn to you. As you know, I had assumed the worst. I had already let go, or at least I thought I had. But at the same time, this is a shock. And I must ask for your patience and your forgiveness. I told you that I had moved on, and I do believe that to be true, but still, I'm just struggling right now to adjust to the news.
Of course. Take your time.
Would you forgive me if I leave now?
There's nothing to forgive. Take your leave. Try to get some sleep. I will do what I can to learn the truth. And tomorrow, together, once I have more information, we will tell the king and find a way to move forward. But for tonight,
yes,
take your leave, take your rest. Do not apologize for having this experience.
Yes. His mouth opens, nothing comes out, and then he turns. He walks briskly to the door. He places his hand on the opener, and then turns back to you and says, "This changes nothing."
I know. But I thank you for saying...
I'm just saying that as a promise to you.
I will hold you to it, Coronast.
Thank you for being understanding.
Of course.
Good night. He leaves. You are tired.
Yeah.
You may now rest. All of you may apply to yourselves the benefits of a long rest.
Blessed be.
You wish that that rest could be longer. It is every bit as long as it needs to be to give yourselves the benefit of a long rest. However, servants are invasive in the morning. They come, of course, bearing gifts, fragrant foods, rashers of bacon, strong coffee, mulled wines, hot bread, fruit of all sorts. But they do not heed the do not disturb sign that each of you leaves outside of their hotel room door. They come in quite forcefully. They present these gifts in a very friendly and generous manner, but they make no consideration for your tiredness, and they announce that you are to join King Belvor in his chambers immediately after breaking your fast. Is there anything that you would do during the 30 minutes or so that you are left alone, half asleep, hair sticking up? Boy, I bet Shiroi has a fascinating looking bedhead. Is there anything that you would do in that brief time before joining the king?
Well, first off, because of the magic surge, I have to point out they would probably be giving me the things, and whilst I say, "Oh, thank," I'm just talking the daisy clouds out my mouth mid-sentence.
There's a long feline yawn. This is the first time that has happened to you, as you, with fetid morning breath belching from your cat-like mouth, a flower springs. The servant looks at you for a long moment and then puts down the tray and does this number.
Is it like a perfectly fine flower? Is it like a hairball flower mix?
It is a totally normal, fragrant flower. This one, I'm going to say, is a pansy.
All right.
Those are white, right? They're like big fat white petals. Is that right?
Some pansies are, yeah.
All right. I think just as knowing where it came from, at least inside me, I think I just sort of cheekily leave it in front of the drow's door and then just make my way to the.
God. Your puke flower.
Charming.
Yeah.
Anyone else doing something? Did we get another magic item?
Yeah, I will probably, on my way I will detour. I will be very polite to the servants, act like I'm so delighted that they've come and woken me up so early. It's marvelous. You're all so lovely. The hospitality here is just beautiful, and I make sure to go by Tiramo's room on the way to our appointment with the king.
So when Vi arrives, I think Tirimo barely got in his 4 hours of reverie, and that was about all he could manage with everything else with the conversation after the conversation with Coronast and stuff and such. So he's has been up for a while, and actually, I think in the time even before Vi arrived, I think I would have tried to prepare after I finished my trance. I would have prepared scrying and tried to scry the sarcophagus that I saw. What is the prince's name? I keep calling him the prince because I can't remember his name.
I just said his name.
I had it written down. I know, and I had it written down, and then Rommel. Thank you.
Rommel.
I couldn't find where I put it. Anyway, I would try and scry his sarcophagus in the wee hours of the morning before Vi arrived.
Let's say that you, in the pre-dawn light, extend your vision through arcane means. This is a practice that you have exercised many, many times. But this may be the most unknown destination you've ever tried to scry.
Yeah.
A place that you aren't even sure whether it's real. And so it's super, super taxing to you. Your mind wanders through dark places. Let's do, I think we're just going to do an Arcana check.
Sure.
To see, I will base level of success on an Arcana check.
Totally. It's a 14.
That's with your bonuses, etc.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, so you reach out your mind. And you never are able to lock onto the sarcophagus. Okay. Sometimes you get pictures of landscapes. Once, right before right, you feel the spell slipping from you. Right before you lose control of the spell, you see an expanse of dark, almost swampy ground, and rising from it, some dark structure. It seems to be partially ruined, as if not by the forces of time, but perhaps by combat. It seems battled and broken. But it's clear that this was a dark, malignant structure. There are still gargoyles hanging precariously on high parapets, and dark arts, murals scrawled across walls, unrecognizable now because of the passage of time, but you can actually see pockmarks where, has it been perhaps huge stones cast against this old building? As in a battle? Has this fallen structure been overthrown by combat? You find your mind spooling back to you quickly, almost like the release of a tape measure, and you come slamming back into your own mind. And there you go.
Thank you. And maybe at about that moment, Vi, you walk in?
As you're like... And I do knock. I always knock. I'm not going to barge in. Lady Vi does not barge.
She's not rude.
So it would be a very polite little knock.
Of course. Enter.
Comes in. Oh, you look refreshed.
One of the many blessings of my people. It doesn't take much for us to regain our strength, even after a day such as yesterday.
Yes, of course.
Now, shall we see about this mace? Yes.
Yes, that would be magnificent.
Would you be so kind? I have some concerns about the mace, as I'm sure you do as well. Would you be so kind, if you don't mind, I have seen that you are able to fortify individuals against certain things. Would you mind a little bit of assistance before I come into contact with the item? I will have to be touching it during the duration of this casting, and if it is indeed cursed in some way, I would appreciate an added layer of protection.
Ooh.
Only if you can, of course.
I don't actually know if I have protection from good
even
and
if you
evil.
Even if you just have resistance, that would be the trick.
Yeah, I should have that. Yeah, you know what? I do. So,
Great.
Absolutely, and touches you on the shoulder, and I will cast resistance. So that's for a saving throw.
Great.
1d4 for a saving throw.
And once that's done, I begin to lay out a few things. I sort of take some chalk and scrawl some sigils in the ground and begin ritually casting Identify, pull out an owl feather and hold it in one hand and the mace in the other, and set a pearl in a small stone bowl in front of us in some water. And it takes about 10 or 11 minutes, but eventually I complete the spell and know things.
So as you wave your digits across this dark object, you first sense a toxic malignancy.
Ugh.
This is a weapon of evil. But you immediately thereafter believe that it is a weapon of great power.
Sure.
You believe that this mace would strike with much greater force than a normal mace. In game language, we're going to say you feel it's +3.
Holy shit! All right.
Holy shit!
Additionally,
I know who wants that.
you feel
Goddamn!
Let's
buzzing
see.
in your brain. You feel as you twist the skull one direction, you feel bugs. Bugs. In game terms, you may once a day cast an insect plague.
Ugh.
You also, as you hold this object, see it phase in and out of existence. You believe that twice a day, the user can become ethereal, as in the spell.
Ooh.
And
What's next?
as you tilt it, the head does... The skull suddenly spins on the shaft of the mace, making a horrible chittering sound. You think that should you strike somebody and get in a perfect blow as the skull spins, they would be quite disabled. So on the nat 20, the subject is stunned till the end of your next turn. That's in addition to crit damage, of course. Wow. So, but again, as you stop reaching into this device and you pull back from it, you sense that malignancy once again, and you wonder if perhaps that may, over time, exert some sort of influence over the user. Difficult to say.
Yeah. So I relay all of that to Lady Vi, sort of emphasizing that it's powerful, and I can't tell how much the power is linked to the evil in it, but before any of us think about using it with any frequency, we should see if there's a way to perhaps cleanse it.
Well, that's certainly interesting. Well, as a cleric, how about we wrap that little guy back up, and I will commune with my deity and see what we can do about that.
That sounds like an excellent plan.
Reach to take it back.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah, sure. I was like, take it.
By all
You're
means.
actually going to cast commune? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, no. Nope.
Oh,
no, not right now. I will.
Okay.
I will eventually, but not right now. I don't want anybody around when I do that.
Okay.
Nobody's around when I'm going to do that. That would not be great right now. No, so I'm just going to take it back and keep it wrapped up for now so that I'm not physically touching it and just stow it. So I've got it. But
got it.
Yeah, I'm going to need to have a chat with somebody before using that.
Well, players,
A quick
not speaking characters, speaking players, I am terrible at keeping my eye on chat as I'm DMing. Do we have yet another magic item? Is that what I see being reflected in our behind-the-scenes Discord conversation?
I believe that there was one that was donated during the show. I don't know if there was more than one.
There's one that it was sent via the Discord, and
yes, there is.
Is that the same one, or is there two?
It's the only one I know of.
So there are two that we have received in today's show.
Correct.
That is what chat is saying. Chat could be lying though. Chat.
So I think that's true. Yeah.
There's a magic for you to choose, and then there's a magic that's a more specific one, I think.
All right, behind the scenes. Well, I guess it's not super behind the scenes. Everybody can see that in our private Discord. I'm going to modify that slightly. I'm going to trust that over the course of our entire journey together, that the giver will not mind the way that I modified it. Though in this moment, they may go, that's not exactly what I wanted. If I could just ask for the patience of the donor, I promise to make this pay off long term. Sable,
and another £5 donation.
As you sleep, you find yourself caressed as if by long blonde hair over and over through the night. You feel the company of a feminine form beside you. Not in a sexual way, but in a way almost as if you're being cared for, caressed, cleaned, fortified. And in the morning, you hear that familiar voice say, I have kept my promise to you. I will soon ask you to make promises to me. And you waken, and you feel a weight on your chest. Like a physical weight. Something is resting on your chest.
I reach for it, but sort of simultaneously as I reach for it, I'm going to put my hand under my pillow where there is a knife, a stiletto dagger, and I'm going to put one hand on the hilt of that and then check to see what is, before I've even opened my eyes, what is on my chest.
As you touch it, you feel that it's some sort of, is it like a medallion or a symbol? It has a chain that affixes it around your neck, but it hangs low towards the center of your chest. As you place your hand around it, it's about the size and circumference of your palm, and it seems to be just a milky amber. It's like a polished metal disc. Maybe it's bronze, but there's a milkiness to the bronze that you have not seen before. It's almost a quality that you've seen in gems at times. And as you place your hand upon it, you feel the caress of blonde hair across your naked chest.
I cast Divine Sense to see if I can sense, because this blonde, unfortunately, could mean a whole lot for Sable. This could go in many ways.
I would say casting, let's look at Divine Sense here.
Divine Sense, I believe.
See exactly. Yeah, as you touch it. Divine Sense. I'm going to say that as you caress it, you can't tell whether you're sensing good from it or evil from it. There seems to be a pronounced ambiguity, not neutrality, but something torn between its own objectives. But you unmistakably feel the pull of your patron as you touch it. You have the unmistakable sense that this is something that will manifest a deeper connection between you and the woman that you met in that shaman's hut 6 months ago.
Okay.
And you may apply to yourself the buffs described there in the Discord, which I will read just so that our viewers can enjoy those as well. All of his light abilities have an additional radiant backlight glow, imbuing his light powers with necrotic damage to go alongside its radiant damage, and adding temporary necrotic resistance to light-based heals and buffs. Somebody has crafted a very specific item for you.
I'm going to go ahead and choose not to use this until maybe we've had some time to figure out the specifics of that. It didn't come with batteries, like in my mind, and I'm just like, I'll get some batteries for this maybe after the session.
Yeah. Yes, you can ponder it after this particular session. So there we go. Is there any other meetings, conversations, activities that will take place before you gather in King Belvor's private audience chamber?
Yeah.
Yes, there was.
Oh yeah, I sort of like, as I leave the mouth flower at the Drow's door, I just like sort of knock and then just like quickly make my way to the chamber. Try like to make it look like, oh, that wasn't me. She just finds a flower on her floor at her door.
Ilvar, would you like to describe that? Oh?
You're muted.
Mute.
So it's not a servant opening my doors, correct? That is not how I awaken, or am I rudely awakened? Because if I was rudely awakened, I probably would have picked up my crossbow bolt and shot the first person who came into the room. Because I am trained to not be awoken unless it's a danger. If I am awakened to a pleasant door ringing and food, then I will like grab a piece of bread as I kind of like open the door, take a look out, seeing no one.
I would say that it's a combination of the two. Like you are rudely awakened with a pleasant attitude. When the servants came with your breakfast, there was no gentle rap to wake you. It is like they came in your room, but with smiles and with fragrances. They brought you your food, and I would say that it's. So, do you feel like you would have killed one of those bringers of food?
I probably would have shot like near the door then and been like, please knock next time. I'm startled easily in my sleep, and I wouldn't want to have a stray. Okay. Come closer though. Don't leave. Come the food.
The poor plump maid at the door now is causing your breakfast to rattle on the tray as she looks in horror at the crossbow bolt that is just inches away in the door frame. But as you beckon her in, she brings it, rattle, and sets it down.
Darling. It couldn't be anything worse than the king makes you do first thing in the morning, or that terrible vizier. All right, go on before you have...
She blushes beet red and can't seem to leave the room quickly enough.
We're going to have a chat later.
It is after you finish your breakfast that you hear a very slight, just 2 little knocks at the door.
I dust myself off and walk, less Beyonce style this time, and open the door, bread in hand, looking. I pick up the flower. I wonder if this is some sort of favor, and I tuck it in my hair. I have no idea that it's a flower. No clue.
No idea.
Nice.
No idea. It's just a pretty surface flower, and she's so full of herself that she assumes that it's some love-struck young youth that is giving her favors, not the vomit flower that it actually is. So
amazing.
So all of you gather in the king's private audience chamber. It's a room with a large table upon which there are multiple maps, many of which of the lands to the north that you recognize as the Empire of Ews. You do see a battlefield table upon which apparently the king enjoys miniatures. They're almost like little chess pieces of mounted cavalry, of griffin riders, of troops, and there's a battle half laid out on the table. Unfortunately, when you enter, both Tubal and Coronast are there waiting. And the king stands up as all of you enter and applauds. Well, the tale of yesterday's battle has reached me in full, and I have been told that I owe the survival of my forces to the 5 of you. Tubal is over in the window, leaning in the window frame, looking out at the city, looking pissed. But Coronast has his thumbs tucked into his belt, and he's rocking back and forth from heel to toe, beaming. He is apparently thrilled at this news, and the king says, "Strange times indeed. I would in fact not believe the tale, were it not for the one who told me. Lord Grievering sends his greatest respect, says that he is forever in your debt, and that all of Furiondi, perhaps, before this war is over, will come to know your names." I have famous guests here in my private chambers. Well done. In all seriousness, you do have a king's gratitude. What can I do for you?
Well,
Your
no more
Highness.
battles would be a start.
Yeah, not at that for sure. Your Highness, we all, I think, appreciate your gratefulness and your kind words, but you must understand that, yes, we were able to turn the tide of the battle yesterday, but the forces arrayed against this land from the north are great. And it will be soon that they discover the deception that the capable Sable perpetrated against them yesterday. And they will be back.
I wish I could be there for that.
It seems that this is only the beginning, and my hope is that our prisoner may be able to tell us more about what is coming so that we can properly prepare, and so that we can perhaps take the fight to the Great Old One and stop him in his tracks. I must also tell Your Highness that it seems... here's a question for you, Shane. Have I had really a chance to talk to the king since my mission with the queen? That was a couple of weeks ago, but I'm not really sure how much time we would have had.
I would say yes. I would say yes. In the bouncing back and forth, I would say you filled him in, and then he sent you to Lord Homer.
Great. Okay. As you know, my concerns lie not only to the north of Furiondi, but to the northwest and the Vesvi as well. I understand that our priorities here in this court are to this country here, but the faster that we can deal with our problems, the sooner perhaps we may be able to lend aid to those to the west.
Yes, I understand your desire to help those who were not willing to help us. I know. But I promise that I will listen more favorably to your request for aid when the time comes, because of how you have selflessly served the nation of Furiondi.
I thank you, Your Highness. My friends, have you anything else that we should inform the king of before we perhaps begin plans on questioning our prisoner?
Yes, and I meant what I said. If there is anything that I can do for you, within reason, with you, for you, however your proclivities might lean.
I wouldn't mind having a piece of estate for myself, something close to the castle, and perhaps a noble title so that I might wield my way in court a little bit more favorably. Duchess should do.
You hear Tubal. Ha! And the king doesn't acknowledge Tubal and says, I am about to grant land and a title to a dark elf. Please tell me that I'm dreaming. Of course.
Her dramatic hair flipping about.
Request, and you can expect me to grant it. I cannot promise that you will be well received in court.
Oh no, don't worry. I'm sure I'm capable of charming the feet off anyone that I meet in person. And my eyes kind of flick over to our tabaxi friend for just a moment.
And as she does that, you kind of see him like just slightly like giggling a little bit that you're wearing his flower in your hair. He's just like trying to hold back the laughter.
I assume that he's laughing because I'm getting a title, so I'm just like, meh.
At this point, Ilivara, as you give a little dig to Tubal, you feel a strange surge in your belly. You feel perhaps the power of your dark patron welling within you. As you stare at Tubal, the force that gives you power unexpectedly leaps from you in a way that is invisible, imperceptible. But Tubal, as he stands looking out at the city, suddenly scratches his own leg. Once, twice, now with clawed chicken feet beneath him. He does not seem to have noticed that this has occurred. But apparently your patron felt the need to send a wild magic surge your way.
Oh my god.
Are we feeling a bit peckish this morning? Sir,
please, do not pretend to have any care for my well-being. I am here to wait upon the king, not to bandy with you, title or no. And he turns back and scratches his leg once again.
Other problem.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, suddenly
you
just
certainly
see,
do enjoy your roost nearby the king, don't you?
Yeah, and as Shiroi sees his legs, he sort of just you just see his tongue sort of circle I wonder if those legs taste good.
Tastes like chicken.
Yeah.
Oh my dear. He doesn't notice.
Lady Vi, we have other things to attend to.
And the chicken puns, how long can they continue? Somebody clip this nonsense.
Oh, so good. So good. So good.
So good. I love it.
Lady Vi is going to bow very deeply to the king and say, all I wish for from you is your goodwill, my liege. And perhaps one day I shall make a home here and be the cleric I've always wanted to be with my own flock. But for now, your goodwill will do.
Not only do you have my goodwill, but you have my deepest regret that I was leery of offering that from the onset. Please, the king asks for your forgiveness.
Absolutely. There is no need to ask, but if ask you will, then forgiveness is provided with grace and care.
And I will see for the provision of your family. If you can direct me to them, I will have emissaries sent immediately to make them safe.
Alas, I only have one family member who I was able to take with me out of my city as it fell, but for the sake of my mother, lodging and food would be appreciated. She is elderly and frail, and I regret the journey south has been difficult on her.
Consider it done. Thank you, Lady Vi.
And speaking of respect, my dear king, I would appreciate apologies for being referred to as a pet by your lord and be treated respect as a monk and a warrior.
Oh dear.
Nothing less would be appreciated.
You can hear Tubal. He's in the window. At that, he scratches twice on the ground and goes, "Bah!" The king glances confusedly over his shoulder, but then looks again at the angry cat before him. It is not often that the king is called out in such a manner. Part of the reward I give you is my grace and the holding of my temper as I weather this disrespect. But perhaps it is not entirely undeserved, I will warrant you that. I apologize, Tabaxi, for my lack of sensitivity.
Thank you. And I'll just over-dramatically bow and just get back to my place.
Yes, one does not want to be judged on their heritage, do they?
Absolutely not.
I
can't. I'm dead.
I hear mentioned you are in a favorable mood and looking to dole out some gratuities to those who helped you conquer your enemy the other day. Well, I have 3 requests.
Let me have them, Paladin. I see you come into my presence as boldly as you strode into the presence of your enemies. I should have expected that.
Request number 1. Patch belongs to me. I'm the one.
Technically, he belongs to me right now.
There is to be no interrogation done of the man without me being expressly present. Number 2, when he runs out of his usefulness, I am the one who gets to take his life. And number 3, my drow friend here is getting title, but I'd like to requisition some of her assistance, something I need to speak to her about personally. But if she has estates to tend to, perhaps she would require some kind of assistant, a squire of sorts. Your man Two-Ball over there, would he be possibly available for a new position to tend to a very important dignitary?
And Dark Elven, very quickly, that man is not fit to shine my shoes, but I like where you're going with this.
Besides, would he feel very... Yeah.
A rush
Besides,
from
wouldn't
the
he feel
window.
very cooped up with you?
I'm sorry to have to pluck him from your service.
I cannot.
Oh my
I
God.
cannot.
We certainly don't want to run afoul of you at all.
Oh god.
You know, best laid plans and all.
Oh god.
This is too much.
And I certainly wouldn't want to egg our friend on here, but it does sound like a good plan.
Stop. Just I can't.
No, keep going.
So there's a rush from the window. Two-Ball dashes over and then stands abreast of the king, and he says, as he scratches at the ground, and the king looks over at him, shocked and appalled, and at that point Two-Ball goes,
So no protest.
Two-Ball has served me for quite some time. I believe, however, that there have been recent developments, ways in which he has perhaps fallen short of my expectations. Two-Ball is looking around wild-eyed and then goes,
I'm just gonna...
Do you have something you're going to say, Vi?
No, she's just gonna make eye contact with him and be like...
He looks down and then, horrified, staggers back as if running from his own feet, trips over them and falls on his ass. As he does, escaping his lips is... The
This is
king
delightful.
turns to him, turns back to Vi. Is this something you still want? He appears to have fallen ill.
Oh, he's not mine. I mean,
No, I'm
Ilavara.
giving him to the drow.
Yeah, to Ilavara.
Would you still desire him?
I
It
look
seems that I
up
need to have our medics look at him.
I look up the Sable just kind of out
I
of the
can
corner
help.
of my eye and wait to see if he's like gives some indication of like, oh yeah or no, because he's onto something sneaky, and I suppose he will do nicely. Still staring at Sable. She says in Thieves' Cant to see if you understand, what the fuck are you doing? No, nothing. Okay.
No.
And she shrugs.
The king looks back at Two-Ball and then to Ilavara says, well, honestly, the setting up of royal titles titles, the establishment of lands, where you will fall in the hierarchy of nobles, to whom you owe your banners, and to whom banners are owed to you. It's all a very complicated political process. Tubal will be uniquely qualified to guide you through it.
That sounds absolutely delightful, my liege. And of course, my banners are always to you, my master.
Well, you have all claimed your gifts from me. Sable, your first condition, I am certainly willing to grant as well. I don't want to quibble over ownership of this person. However, I have no need of questioning him apart from you. And yes, when I am quite finished with him, you are welcome to have him. Speaking of that, I can think of no other pressing business, at least nothing as interesting as finding out a bit more from our captive.
Would you prefer that I do the questioning? I'm quite skilled, you know.
I certainly would defer to your unique qualifications. However, one more thing before we go to question our new acquisition. The Shieldlands, as you well know, have fallen. They have fallen quite thoroughly into absolute anarchy. The Knights of the Holy Shielding routed. Might I call upon the five of you, perhaps, to aid me? I cannot allow this destabilizing force to remain so close to the Shieldlands. I'm sure that you all have your own pressing agendas, but for me and for the Kingdom of Furiondi, the greatest threat is not necessarily at the moment Hughes himself, but the chaos that has been left on our doorstep.
I couldn't agree more.
It would certainly be helpful to re-establish a buffer zone between the center of Furiondi and the forces of use. I think perhaps that is a wise decision, your what I call you, Your Highness.
I believe that this will go perfectly well into aiding into the bards, which will be writing songs about me. Don't you believe, Toolball? As a lady, I should have some songs that are written about me.
A defeated, cuckolded sound comes from him.
Cuckolded.
The king says, go ahead.
No, I was going to simply say that Your Highness, perhaps Tubal and some of your guards could begin to drop the paperwork for Lady Ilivara here. There is one other private matter that I would discuss amongst the seven of us. And Dirimo indicates the five of us, the king and Cornest.
Be off with you. Get to my paperwork.
Slowly, Tubal gets to his newly acquired feet. He puts out his arms as if unsure how to balance and move forward now. And Coronast, a little confused, but still quite amused, comes and takes him by the arm, leading him out. They hand him off to someone at the door, which he then closes, leaving all of you alone with the king.
I'm going to lean in really close to Ilivaro and just say, I can probably fix that for you if you ever need it fixed, but God, why would you want to?
I look at you like, oh, by the goddess, no.
Nice. That's what I thought.
You have yet more news for me, Dirimo. Is that so?
I do. If you will indulge me for a moment, I have information that I think you will find very important and very pressing, but if you will give me just a few minutes, I want to confirm as best I can that the information is accurate. May I have a moment, Your Highness?
Certainly. With myself alone?
No, I simply need to cast a spell to verify some information, and I did not want to do it in the presence of others, as it will leave me quite vulnerable for several minutes.
Well, you can consider yourself safe here, of course. Cast your spell. I am waiting on the edge of my seat, proverbially.
And so I'll cast Legend Lore and attempt to get some information about that site that I saw in my scrying, to find out more about where. I mean, even if I can't, get the exact location or detailed information about the sarcophagus itself, about why I saw that vision when I tried to scry on the prince's coffin.
So you cast Legend Lore. You feel almost like Legend Lore is like approaching the waters of the shore of a great body of water and reaching out and touching its surface. It's almost as if you are walking forward and placing your hands into a great pool of arcane energy. You can sense all of it, its breadth and its depth, and the temple, it's a temple, comes rushing to your mind. It's not something that you've ever seen before, other than that brief vision. But you realize at that moment that you know of it. You have heard of it. Yes, it did fall several years ago. The united forces of Furiandi and Valuna and the free city of Verbabonk came together to cast down this foul temple. There was a temple devoted to the worship of great elemental evils. And
God.
Some of the greatest mages of Greyhawk came together to help seal its doors. It is legended that a demon lived within it, and from there was orchestrating great evil, great elemental evil across the world of the Flaness. As far as you know, the temple has been silent since.
Oh boy.
That is what you know.
Oh boy.
Foul temple.
All right. So as the spell ends, I sort of sit back on my heels and just take a few deep breaths and shake my head and say, Your Highness, the news that I bring you is not good. I believe that I have confirmed our worst fears regarding the fate of your son.
Yeah.
He straightens, his spine stiffens, and he takes a step towards you that you're quite certain he did not even know that he took. Speak, elf.
Of course, Your Highness. Yesterday I had a very strange experience. As I was bringing the group here to the dungeons with our prisoner, I was taken elsewhere in the midst of my teleport to a room with a black sarcophagus that contained the body of your son. I did not bring it up to you immediately because it was a unique experience. I have never been taken anywhere but where I meant to go when teleporting. And I have spent some time this morning doing my best to verify the truth of what I saw, to ensure that it was not an illusion or some sort of other misdirection by evil forces. As far as I can tell, the sarcophagus does in fact exist. And from what I can tell, Your Highness, your son's body currently lies in the old temple to elemental evil. This brings...
That can't be.
I understand, Your Highness.
That doesn't
I do
make
not understand.
sense.
You are not mistaken. I do not understand how it is possible, but I will do my best to confirm my findings. But I think we should begin to consider the possibility that Eus, or some of his lieutenant, has accessed the old temple and the power within, or at the very least, is using the temple as some sort of stronghold. I know we do not know exactly what happened to take your son's body there, but I find it hard to believe that it is not somehow linked to everything else going on in the Flanesse and here in Furiondi. But this is much to take in, Your Highness. I apologize for speaking with you of plans for the future. You, of course, want to take time to process the information.
My son, resting within the bowels of the Temple of Elemental Evil. If you were anyone else, I wouldn't believe it.
If I were anyone else, I doubt that I could have gotten even this much information. But for the friendship that I shared with your son, I feel that it is my duty to give you this information and to continue to investigate and find what I can about what took him there.
Yes. I'll need you to do that.
Of course.
Yous did have something to do with that foul space when we shut it up more than a decade ago. If, perhaps, my son is there, alive or dead, perhaps the High Priest of Yous himself might know something about that.
Indeed.
I need no more time. We have an interrogation to conduct. Do you feel quite up to it, my new dark elf noble?
I'm up to whatever task you set before me, Your Majesty.
You're going to fall into the rigors of court life quite naturally. Let's go to the dungeons.
I was born for it.
I don't doubt that. He says over his shoulder as he makes a beeline for the door. He straight arms it. It blows open, knocking back a couple of guards who are on the outside. He motions to them, to the dungeons!
Oh, and as we're walking towards the dungeons, I'll sort of just like take like a passing glance at Tiermo, like nodding as sort of like a confirmation, like, we're gonna get our time alone, right? Oh,
that remains unseen. So, following in the footsteps of a grief-stricken king, our 5 unlikely adventurers, one of which is now a noble, make their way down the spiraling staircase in the palace of King Belvor, headed to the bottom pits of the dungeon, where the High Priest of Yous awaits. There, no doubt they will find answers, and even more certainly, more questions. Thus ends episode 4 of Wheels of War.
And we were all
Grim
in a group together.
Past.
I know.
Yes,
I'm so
you're
excited.
all in a group together, and I will do my best not to separate you again.
God.
It's a fun way to start. But
If
my
we're
goodness,
ending
it was
here, that
hard to
means
pull
that
it
we all
together.
have all week to be terrified of the soon-to-come Leroy Jenkins encounter.
It's true. I know exactly where I was going to do it. You just didn't quite make it there.
As long as we do it.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
As long as
yes, I know exactly.
Well, this gives you time to actually watch the D&D. All you have to do is type in Leroy Jenkins in YouTube, and it will come up, and you will... Even if you don't know what's going on in World of Warcraft, you will still piss your pants laughing, I guarantee
Well, I used to do a lot of raiding in my MMO, so I'm sure that I can appreciate it.
Yes.
I wish we could continue. Not only do I think you guys are awesome players and I enjoy you so much, but on a purely selfish dungeon master level, after your conversation with Potch, the 5 of you are going to have to choose a path. And since that will happen at the beginning of our next episode, I don't know what path you're going to choose.
Oh, no!
I'm going to have to prepare them all.
Oh, no.
That's gonna be rough.
Well, that's probably for the best because we do have a helm of teleportation, so we may not have to choose one.
Dear.
So,
dear.
just putting that
Start
out
putting
there.
dimensional anchors on everything.
Oh my goodness. We've only got 5 minutes before another show begins here on the Encounter Roleplay. Let's go around the circle. Let folks know where you can be found. We this time will begin with Alex.
Hello, I am Alex. You can find me on Twitter at Alex_Catu. And that's pretty much it at the moment.
And Eugenio?
Hi, everybody. I'm Eugenio. You can find my personal Twitter at Eugenio_Vargas, spelling right below me. I'm also the Friendly Neighborhood Dungeon Master, DM Jazzy Hands, for the actual play podcast, The Last Refuge. You can find us on Twitter at DND Last Refuge. We are in our 4th season right now. About a year and a half of episodes, and the party has just entered their very first dungeon of the campaign. So we're in a fun, exciting spot. So check us out over there.
And Kevin, continuing clockwise.
Yes, you can follow me on Twitter, like as it says below, Kevin K Kudo VA, and you can find me on YouTube at Kevin Kudo VA there, and that's about it for the moment.
Josh, author of the Epic Plan.
I can't believe it. And my heart was pounding all week. So yeah, just super glad that I managed to pull it all together. As for myself, I'm kind of Joshua. I will be streaming a little later on, and I will be doing some world building, world creation stuff, as well as planning for an up-and-coming campaign that I'll be running my first campaign on my channel, so check me out.
Awesome. And at long last, you're back! Tia,
Finally.
what about you?
You can find me on roleplayers_TV, and I swear this is the last time I'm changing my Twitter handle, unless the person who is hanging on to Roleplayers TV on Twitter gives up theirs. They've been inactive for a year, and I'm waiting for that Twitter. But you can find me later today. I also will be streaming, and it looks by the poll that I do on Twitter, I'm actually going to be doing prep for my first D&D campaign. I'm going to do City of the Spider Queen. I'm going to try and transfer that over to 5th edition, which I'm really excited about because I've never really been a DM before, and it's kind of fucking scary. I don't know how you do it so well, Shane. Bravo to you. And you can also find me on
I just try to keep up with you.
It's easy, right? That's what they keep telling me. You can also see me on Tales of the Grim. That's Grimjack's channel, formerly Grimjack21502, for our Dragonlance and Kryn mashup, and I fucking love that campaign. If you can't watch it live, I really implore you to watch it on YouTube because it is amazing.
I would agree.
I will see you. I'll see you soon and next Friday. And
yes, I can't wait. I'm DM Shane. If you like Greyhawk, I live over at the Greyhawk channel where I do a bunch of different shows, and I can't wait to come back here and see where this evolves. If you like Greyhawk, you realize we're kind of playing the greatest hits of Greyhawk lore in this show. So I'm just trying to give everybody the biggest dose that they can possibly get. So we'll be back next week for more Wheels of War. Adios, everybody. Stay great. Stay great. I got that from Grimjack.